Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time to talk about Poco's, Pam's, and Brock's star powers. Once again guys, early footage, as well as comparing them to their current star powers and ranking them according to the tier list, so that you guys know which ones are going to be the best for you to buy as first free-to-play players, and then also which ones you're going to use if you're Gemmer like me. I don't know why I keep explaining this. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss content like this coming up in the future weeks for the rest of the brawlers as they get their star powers. Let's start off by talking about Poco's newest star power, Screeching Solo. Poco's super now hits enemies dealing 1,200 damage. This is excellent for a whole lot of reasons. Okay, so first off, it will deal damage to the opponents hiding behind walls. Yes, they cannot hide. Second off, guys, it will deal damage up to the entire range of 10 1/3 tiles. And of course, guys, with a little simple math, Poco's super will cover a massive area of roughly just over 50 square tiles, which is absolutely crazy. Additionally, guys, Poco can still heal his teammates, meaning that he could very likely turn a losing skirmish for one of his teammates into a winning skirmish, especially against close range brawlers that would also get hit by that super as well. But I think what is most important to realize is how much this will increase Poco's potential burst potential. That's right, his potential burst potential. Without this star power, Poco has a burst potential of 2,772 damage. That is not enough to take out a single brawler in the game, including Tick, the lowest HP brawler. But with his super and 3 attacks, this star power allows Poco to burst down 3,972 damage while healing himself and possibly other teammates for 2,940 health. Not only is this a 43% buff to Poco's burst potential, with a single push of 1 super and 3 attacks, this is enough for him to burst down Barley, Brock, Colt, Crow, Dynamite, Piper, Rico, Spike, and Tick. And guys, if done correctly, Poco will only need 2 hits afterwards to recharge his super again, or if he happen to hit 2 people, then he'll already have it charged up and be able to burst him down again. Now this will greatly increase Poco's viability in team fights, as well as give him a big boost in solo situations like in Solo Showdown. Now for Poco's original star power, we have Swan Song. Oh wait, that was actually replaced. That was his original. They got rid of it like a year ago. So his second star power that's currently in the game, Da Capo. When Poco's attacks hit a friendly brawler, they now heal that friendly brawler for 500 health. Now in the right situation, this can allow Poco to burst heal 1 or 2 of his teammates for 1,500 HP with 3 quick attacks. And that can really impact things. Now Poco can also deal damage to the enemy player with this attack as well, which can impact things. Now his attack range is only 7 tiles long, which means that it's a lot less likely that he'll actually heal both a teammate and deal damage to an enemy, but it is possible. Now 500 healing per attack is not a small number. It is much more significant since it's buff and can actually have a very big impact on a battle. But the real question is, which star power is better, guys? Is the additional damage from Screeching Solo, or is it better to use Da Capo for the extra healing? Well, the choice is pretty obvious if you're playing Solo Showdown, because there's nobody for you to heal with Da Capo, so you should always use Screeching Solo in Showdown. But for team fights, it does get a little bit tricky. Unless you can both hit a teammate and an enemy player, both star powers sacrifice something for something else. Screeching Solo sacrifices healing a teammate for additional damage on an enemy, and Da Capo sacrifices ammo and the potential damage to an enemy player in order to heal a teammate. If we're just looking at the numbers, Da Capo heals 54% of what his attack would normally damage, and Screeching Solo damages 40% of what Poco's super normally heals. So just looking at those numbers, you'd obviously want to go with Da Capo, but the thing that you have to pay attention to is the fact that the area is roughly 2 times larger for Screeching Solo, meaning that Poco will be able to heal and deal damage a lot more frequently than when he has Da Capo. Now because Poco's super is relatively easy to charge up, I actually believe that Screeching Solo will become in use more frequently than Da Capo will, and especially when you pair that with the fact that Screeching Solo is always better in solo situations. Because of this, I would recommend getting it first and then getting and using Da Capo when the situation calls for it. I would say that Screeching Solo is definitely an S tier star power, while Da Capo is probably an A tier star power, really kind of close to that S tier range. Then of course guys, we got Pam with her star powers, starting off with Mama's Squeeze. Now when she has this star power, her healing turret now also damages enemies for 300 damage per second. Now that might not sound like a lot of damage, you know, because it's not really a whole lot of damage, but just think about like Brock's Incendiary, which we'll talk about later on, and how it deals 300 damage per second, but only in a tiny circle and only for 2 seconds. Then compare that to Pam's turret with a radius of 4 tiles, and the fact that it will continue dealing damage over a massive area until the enemy team gets rid of the turret. All of a sudden, Pam's turret becomes an insane tool for not only being able to deal a little bit of damage, but really being able to control the field, because that radius of 4 tiles means that she can cover 50 square tiles on the map, and that is not something that you could ignore. I like the fact that this is actually like a combination of Pam's healing turret with Jesse's offensive turret. Obviously, Pam's turret will deal less damage and cover a smaller radius, but it also has the benefit of being able to attack enemies that are hiding behind walls. I don't know what it is about these star powers today. It's just attacking people from behind walls. It's kind of a theme. Additionally, it kind of acts like a ward against brawlers hiding in the bushes as well, because if they're hiding in the bush and they get within range of that turret, you know that you can see them. Because the turret, it's not like Jesse's turret where it actually has to see the brawler. It's just the brawler will start taking damage when they're within that range. I really do think that you can see how game-changing this star power actually could be. Now for Pam's original star power, Mama's Hug, whenever Pam hits enemies with her attack, she heals herself and nearby friendly brawlers for 30 health per attack that actually hits, like per cog. Now if Pam is really close to an enemy brawler, she shoots out 9 of those cogs or pieces of scrap metal, which means that she can have a possible healing potential of 270 for every single attack. Now in comparison to Poco's healing Da Capo star power, which heals 500, this is a very low amount of health for a teammate, because very rarely does Pam actually land all 9 cogs for an enemy player. So there's not, and additionally, there's not always going to be an enemy player close by for her to attack so that she'd be able to heal a teammate when she really wants to heal them. However, this star power does have the benefit of potentially being able to heal both her and 2 teammates, which can be beneficial in the right circumstances. And really, that circumstance is when the enemy and both teammates are really close by. And typically, I don't suggest people bunching up, and being close to Pam for her star power to help heal you is definitely considered bunching up. So you get the idea. So the question is, which star power is better? And honestly, I think that the choice is pretty obvious. Mama's Squeeze will hurt any number of enemies within range by 300 damage per second, while Mama's Hug only has a possible healing of 270 HP per attack, which will not happen consistently. I do think that Mama's Hug has its benefits, particularly in solo situations where the extra health can help keep her alive, particularly when she's close to an enemy brawler. But even then, the very low amount of healing given probably is not worth the additional damage that she could have with Mama's Squeeze. Not to mention the fact that it offers a lot of really amazing control. I would give Mama's Squeeze an S tier rating, while I would give Mama's Hug a very lowly B tier rating. Up next, we have Brock with rocket number 4. With this star power, Brock loads a 4th rocket into his launcher, increasing his ammo capacity and discarding the thermos bottle that he's been keeping in his launcher's 4th tube. So that's what he's been doing with that 4th ammo slot. Oh my gosh, guys, we just discovered that Brock's favorite snack is hot chocolates or soup. This star power is absolutely insane because it adds an additional 1,540 damage to his burst potential and helps make up for his very, very slow reload speed. With 4 Brockets, Brock will be able to do 6,160 damage without having to reload. And that means he'll be able to burst down every single brawler with max HP, aside from Daryl, Rosa, Bull, Frank, and El Primo. But that is not the only broken thing about this star power. Almost every single star power in the game does not do anything to help you charge up your super. Even star powers that deal damage do not count toward charging your super. That's a common myth that people think. But Rocket number 4 does help charge Brock's super, and this means that if he quickly lands 4 attacks, he will immediately have his super, whereas an enemy Brock would have to reload before getting his super. Now on top of that, most star powers don't actually like scale up or do more damage or anything like that when you get a power cube in Showdown. However, the damage from Brock's 4th rocket will, which gives Brock another advantage in Showdown with his star power. Interestingly enough, he still has to fire off all 4 attacks in order for him to take it out, whereas with his other star power, he only uses 3. So like that doesn't really give him an advantage, but you guys get the idea. Now, you're definitely not going to want to waste those rockets when you do have rocket number 4 equipped, but it definitely does give Brock a little bit more wiggle room. And in terms of sheer firepower, this will make Brock a much bigger threat than he was. This is going to allow Brock much more of a threat, while also allowing him to control the map a little bit more than he could before. Now, for Brock's original star power, Incendiary, the impact of Brock's attack sets the ground on fire, and the enemies in the area will take damage, 300 damage per second for up to 2 seconds. This star power is really interesting. Its biggest use is for checking bushes and knowing if enemy players are trying to move through the bush, because you can create kind of like a wall of fire with rockets and they can't walk through it without revealing their location. Additionally, it does prevent brawlers from actually like pushing up on you, because once the rocket has exploded, they have to wait a couple of seconds for them to like kind of keep moving forward. As far as the damage goes, it certainly is on the lower side, and very rarely does the additional damage actually help finish somebody off. This is especially true because of how easy it is for a skilled player to avoid that like flaming pile on the ground. Like if you see it, you're gonna avoid it. Overall, I would call Incendiary a B tier star power, which is certainly less useful than rocket number 4. It's just too easy to avoid the fire, and the damage is so low that it's hardly ever impactful aside from on a few maps that have lots of bushes that you want to check. Rocket number 4 would absolutely be an S tier star power in my book because of all the versatility it adds to Brock, especially because it helps cover Brock's weakness of having one of the slowest reload speeds in the game. And while I'm talking about that, I should note that Brock's reload speed will still remain the same, but the fact that he always respawns with that 4th rocket, and then he can then reload a 4th if given the time, makes it just like such a good star power, and I would highly recommend purchasing it if you are able to. Now, this video is a little bit more one-sided than previous ones where it's like obvious that you would want all 6 star powers. However, like I've said in the past, I would not be surprised if Supercell balanced all of the star powers after they've all been released to try and make it beneficial to buy all the star powers. But that's probably not going to happen for another month or 2. So until then, let's quickly recap which ones you should buy first and focus on using more often than the others. Poco's Screeching Solo offers more of an impact in more situations than DeCapo does. However, DeCapo is at least worth purchasing eventually. Pam's Mama Squeeze offers a ton of control and deals a decent amount of damage, which makes it more versatile than Mama's Hug, which, let's be honest, just does not heal very much. And Brock's Rocket number 4 makes Brock a much more well-rounded brawler, while Incendiary kind of lacks the usefulness in comparison to some other star powers. Out of all of the star powers, I think it's going to come down to brawler preference on which brawler you should actually get the star power for, but getting Rocket number 4 for Brock will help you climb trophies easier with Brock than the other star powers will help you climb with either Pam or Poco. As always, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe for future videos like this one on the star powers that are going to be released for all of the other brawlers in the game. And for now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.